Thank you for being here. It really is a pleasure being here with all of you. I had the intention of bringing my Clydesdale for this co-presentation.
You need to put the money
Oh,
down.
okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is that better? I was going to bring my Clydesdale for this co-presentation, and the guard downstairs said only dogs and dinosaurs are allowed, so I couldn't do that. And so that's, I'm going to do it by myself. I'm one of the co-founders of Equine Smartbit, along with Xiao Zhang right there. And is this working? Hold it. Is that better now? I don't know. Yes. And I decided to really kind of show you the history of our company, of Equine Smartbit. It started in 2014 with an idea that the oral cavity really has a wealth of information for the body in terms of saliva, and also utilizing sensors and integrating sensors with a smart horse bit or even a smart mouth guard. So we went through the testing process, the alpha testing shortly after that. And Bryce, our chief engineer, is here. He'll kind of show you some of the beta tests. I think you have one, Bryce, to show.
3 of them, yes.
3 of them. And they'll talk about the module a little bit.
So we designed the centerpiece, being a health measurement module for the device. We designed this in conjunction with 3 different leading bit manufacturers. So they designed their bits around our centerpiece. We sell to them the B2B approach.
So we have about 4 different renditions from the alpha test, the beta. Now we're into production. And we are in partnership with 3 of the largest global manufacturers of horse bits in the world. So we, if you will, we're the kind of the Intel of the horse bit world, and we integrate the horse bits with electronics. There's 9 sensors embedded in that small piece that we designed. So the final product right now is being tested. In the next 4 months. It's going to be globalized. And so that's kind of the first timesheet. Here's a little film of how it works in the stable. And you'll see it being inserted into the mouth. And you see that little red dot. That's where the lasers are, and it's being read. All this data is being read mobilely. Their heartbeat, their temperature, their oxygen levels. And so you see, you really can't see it too well, but you're actually, it adjusts in accordance to the horse itself when they're in a resting position compared to running in the barn or on a track. You know, and the numbers are, global numbers are here. A thoroughbred costs about $50,000, and that's on the cheap side. I guess you can get a good one, probably, Sharon, right? The owning horse, if you with training, about $25,000. There's about 10 million horses globally that compete in equine sports. There's 102,000 equine veterinarians in the world, and we're going to give we'd like to have your help in terms of price modeling, so we have a questionnaire for you, so we really would appreciate that. We have 4 patents, our cost is about $350, but the thing is, that really astounds me is this number right here, that 10,000 number. 10,000 horses a year are euthanized, almost 1/2. On the track. If they can't run fast, they go. And what we can do is take that number and lower it, because now they scientifically now they can measure when to push the horse, when to bring it back, and really compare that with performance for the first time in history. So we feel that number and all the suffering that goes with it, we can alleviate. It's incredible to realize that horse bits have been around for 3,400 years, and yet they really remain the same. You have various shapes and sizes. You have various metals such as bronze and iron and steel, but the functionality and therefore guidance really remained the same in all these years, except when we came around and making them intelligent and putting the sensors in, be able to get that information for the trainers and the course owners, so they can increase their competitiveness without cruelty, which is just absolutely amazing. It kind of astounded us. What we want to do, we have 3 different marketplaces. One is awareness, health, and wellness. I added the word awareness to it because I think that comes first. The awareness of injuries on the track, the awareness of these horses being euthanized, the awareness of really right now that when a trainer and a jockey are running around the track, it's all by sight. There's no scientific measurements used. And now you can see when the horse is going down the furlong what their oxygen levels are. If they're high, they can push them. If they're low, they back off. It's scientific now for the first time. The beats per minute, same thing. Temperature and many other measurements that were redesigned. So it really gives a competitive advantage to the horse owner. And in terms of training, recovery time, how fast is recovery time? So now we'll know that. How fast can they get back on the track and be able to get the beats per minute and the oxygen level still to the point which is optimal. So that's important. There's another thing that we found out as well, and that's informed auctions. Right now, you go to an auction house when you want to buy a horse, and you look at it. You get an equine specialist, and you have them run for a couple of days, and you see it. But having a historical log, a database, in which you can see the biometrics, you can see how it performed over a period of time, and be able to do that scientifically would really eliminate some of the guesswork, which is happening right now. So those are our 3 marketplaces. They're all professional marketplaces, and we're going to get into the recreational marketplace in about a year or so. And that's how we're starting. As I mentioned before, we're in partnership with 3 global manufacturers, and that's wonderful for us because we don't have the marketing, and they have the marketing opportunities, they have a customer base, they already know really whom this goes to, and we don't have to worry about that. We're going to rely on them. We provide the modules, and we send that to them, and they know their industry, and we know our electronic industry, and so we're partnering with them to really do the marketing, grassroots marketing. But they have a whole new product line. Their product line now really expands to their base customers. And that's exciting for us because now we eliminate our need to do it. We can concentrate on what we do best, and that's data licensing and designing these circuit boards and software firmware, database, and all the things that we have to do in making sure that this works, and it works consistently and properly. Here's I want to give a slide of all the sensors that go into these little modules, and you'll see the vital signs: heart rate, temperature, blood oxygen, saturation. But also we combine, just like humans, when you run, you're affected by humidity, you're affected by temperature, you're affected by altitude, so are horses. And so we bring that into play too. So the outside temperature, the environment, and those parameters are also factored in. And motion with gyroscope and a magnetometer, so we can actually look at respiration, breathing, motion. If something's off kilter a little bit, we'll know it. When we bring this in the computer and going through analytics, we'll understand what the problem is, so we can correct that prior to something drastically happening. The training intensity is so important. I mentioned the recovery time. So you have a horse starting off, you can understand their biometrics from the distance they've gone, and the data comparisons of that horse, how he's doing, how is he improving, how consistently he's improving, and in terms of the speed and distance. And we can have, that all goes to a database, and that historical database can be looked up, and you can see what day, you can see how the horses have improved, has improved in terms of his training, or hasn't, or does he have an injury, or is there something else wrong? You can do that by a process elimination. And this is the database in which they log in. Each horse will be logged in, and each horse will have its own bit. There will be recording and analytics and stats, machine learning, and monitoring these horses in real time. And all that can be is in the database, and they're able to access that and be able to really understand those timelines and the data and how the horse is doing. And the whole key here, can we make this less cruel? Can we really bring down that 10,000 unit number and do it in a way that's scientific? So that's pretty much the presentation. Our team is fantastic. We have two here with us. Showers, our co-founder of the company in 2014, and Bryce is our hardware engineer. He's been with us for about 2.5 years or more. And we have other people. We have software programmers, firmware designers. We do it all. We do the circuit board from scratch. I'm on the business end. And so we have a pretty round team that does a very, very good job. And our advisories are great too. Olivia, who's going to come here today, is our equine vet, getting a lot of information from her. And we're testing it in various farms in Missouri and Illinois, which is great. Dr. Keegan is a professor of equine surgery, and he has a mile a minute. He has technology that he wants us to work with and be compatible with, and that's very exciting. And there's a special guest here today, which I'd like to introduce, and we'll get question and answers, give you the survey. But I really admire Sharon. Sharon has a rescue farm in Caseyville. She's taking care of scores and scores of abused horses. She carries the hay. She cleans the barn. She provides all these things, these amenities to these animals, and keeping them in a safe place. So I'd like to have you say a few words about this if you want to come up. And this a little bit, I want you to meet Hobo. Hobo is this, you can say Benita, a mule that came running to over the fence to see you, and they would get him again and then abuse him. And he kept doing that until he found a home at your place. So why don't you come up and talk a little bit about it, and then we'll go into question and answer.
All right, thanks, Mike. It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks, Stuart. Thank you, Mike. It is my pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. What we do is we have a farm in Caseyville, and we do rescues. And we do all sorts of horse rescues. I can give you stories that would last forever, but I'm not going to do that. Some of our classics, as he mentioned, was Hobo. He was on a farm close to us, and I saw them doing things that I didn't think were right, but really couldn't intervene a whole lot. And I guess he was smart enough to go, hey, over there they don't beat horses, so I'm going there. So we were out back one day. My husband was watering, and he looked and he said, I looked out there and I said, that's not ours. He said, what do you mean that's not ours? I said, that donkey is not ours. So we pinned him up for 3 days. Took us 3 days to have the owner come forward. The owner came, took him home. He beat the owner back to our place and was back in the pasture. He absolutely refused to stay home. So at one point, the owner moved from the stable and abandoned him, which we did not know. Someone else said, hey, you've got to take him. Or if you don't want him, this is what they told me to do. Load him in a horse trailer, take him out in the country, and dump him. Those were not words you said to me. So Hobo came with us, and he's still there, and he's one of the best herd guards I've ever had. But he chose his home, packed his bags without his owner, just so you guys will know. But we rehabilitate, we do everything. We have a blind horse, we have everything there. And when we get done rehabilitating, some go on to their other homes. Others work with us in a therapeutic program we have with the autistic children and other forms of disabled children. And the horses are very forgiving. They do not remember what happened. They are wonderful with humans, and that is a characteristic I wish humans could have. They do not remember. It takes a while for them to get through things, but once they do, they love you unconditionally.
What a fine lady. She does that all herself too, which is incredible. I'm just proud that I have, in bragging about that one rescue dog. And, I think that's okay. It's not. I mean, it's unbelievable. Okay, we're going to hand out the questionnaires and kind of listen to your questions regarding our technology. How are you doing over there?
All right. Well, everybody, let's wait for the microphone. Mike, you got a mic. It's good. So please wait for the microphone so that the camera can hear you.
I'm only familiar with recreational horse users, and I'm curious if there's anything in the information that you gather whether a horse is safer to ride than other times. I mean, they're less likely to buck or get excited. Is there any information in the data you collect that might make a recreational user's experience safer?
That's a good question as well. We don't delve in the safety program, except we're just strictly electronics. And however, we could, I suppose, by measuring the vitals and to understand, why is it acting up, or what time of day, or did they eat the wrong meal, or what happened? We could narrow it down with vitals and scientific measurements to see, what is wrong probably, if there is something wrong with the animal, at least if the animal's hurting somehow. So it could be simple as that. We're not trainers, but that's something that Sharon could probably answer better than I could. Yeah, well, here. It's a good question.
Okay, and I have worked with these. They have used my horses as models over there for some of their filming. And I can tell you that I can see this revolutionize the recreational industry also. And the reason I'm saying that is if you had one of those bits on, monitor that oxygen, monitor that heart, monitor everything right before an incident happens. Did they see something, or was it something that possibly caused pain? Maybe something rubbed them wrong, maybe an unfit saddle. I'm just kind of going through the whole thing. But if you could monitor that and say, this was okay till here. At this particular thing, did their heart rate go up? What happened? And I think it really could revolutionize it and show you just before this happened. They couldn't breathe right. Their heart skipped a beat. They did something. So it actually could be something that you could check on. And I think it could monitor and give you a very, very good track record of what was going on. I can see it in my line of work, taking that, a horse that comes into me. It would stop me from having to do a lot of blood work if I can put that bit in and find out temperature and heart rate. And it would eliminate a lot of things that I have to check to see why is the animal not doing this? Why is it not doing that? So I think it could do that in your riding as well.
Okay, thank you.
I had a couple questions kind of regarding, one was, is this only going to be for performance? Or is this something that you can have the horse have on them at all times, especially if one is maybe sick or they suspect of being sick? Maybe even young horses right after they're born, or the earliest stage, I don't know what stage that they usually wear these, but I can imagine it'd be something that would help you kind of see them across, months, weeks, years at a time, not just when they're running hard.
Right. It certainly could be used for recreational horses. In fact, there's 9 million horses in the United States, of which about 15% are competitive. And so having this could be used for daily life. Actually seeing what kind of performance you get out of food. If there's respiration problems, if there's laminitis, which is a terrible disease. but this is preventative as well. We feel, once this is implemented, that there's going to be a lower cost in veterinary bills. You're going to be able to forecast if there is a problem and treat that early. So I think it will be used in the recreational industry. And the time they use it, you mentioned time, it depends on how long you want it in the mouth. Yeah.
The currently design is the battery life will up to 8 hours continue monitoring.
And then my second question is regarding the price model, as you mentioned it. So are you currently your only price model is the actual cost of the chip, or are there other layers that you guys have factored in?
Well, right now, we're doing price elasticity and sensitivity and pricing models for the professional model price, the professional horses, going to the equine professionals rather than the recreational. And I think
To answer your question,
Right.
to answer your question, the pricing model is the whole thing, because you can't use the bed to put it in the horse mouth, right? So you have to put it in the bed itself, and then the whole thing. So when we sell it, that is why Mike mentioned earlier, we sell through the horse bed manufacturer through their existing sales channel, and they will quote it as a package to sell.
we provide that little unit.
And then, so one thing I would say is could possibly be good is when you're looking at the data analytics side, because $350 to these people, it's spend that at breakfast. So, it's more like the monthly subscription cost would be something you can look at for the data analytics platform, and you can obviously you can charge the nose for that. These people would spend $1,000 a month or something like this per each horse. Just if you're buying a horse for $100,000, like $10,000 a year to make sure it works, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so we have four months now testing. And thank you. I appreciate your question. Thank you so much. Good questions.
Two questions. What are sales so far? How many of these have you sold so far?
We are not at that point right now. We're going to be testing this in the field with the 3 manufacturers right now for input.
And how many horses will be involved in the
In
test?
that test, right now we test about 50, 60 horses. Probably, I would say, each one of them would do about the same.
Because I would think that the off-track betting and handicappers would really be interested in this. And
Also to see, explain it, to see if the auction level.
well, the deal
potential-
is that if you get better information for training, you have a significant advantage. You look at Olympic athletes, and they'll wear devices, they'll get monitored during training to just get that little bit of an edge. And when one person does that, so does everybody else, because otherwise you don't have a level playing field. And I would think if you're looking for venture capital, that would be the place to go.
No, I appreciate that.
That's really the good point, and we totally agree with you. That is why one of the slides of the product value, one of them is the competitive edge. Because right now, when the trainers go to train the horse, they base on the gut feel. And now you have the data, you have the information to tell you this horse is a lazy horse, or maybe the horse has they already worked too hard, don't push over the age to get hurt. So that's really the good information and to gain the competitive edge for the Olympian, for the sports.
So I have a question. When you guys keep saying professional, do you mean specifically racehorses? Or
yeah.
like polo, barrel racing?
All of it.
All of it?
I think what I counted one time, there's about 25 different equine sports, and we're going after all of them. I think the racehorse horsing industry, the thoroughbreds, is certainly needs it the worst, and they've expressed a lot of interest in this. But we dressage and all these other sports certainly would benefit as well. Polo, for example.
Right, so are you looking for any testers outside of racing? Like polo
yes.
teams or, okay,
We are.
we can tap
No,
in.
If you have if you have.
I know.
And
Oh, good.
we actually got overwhelmed the feedback from St. Louis community. We've been testing about 10 different farms around here, include Sharon's. And also we got even the veterinarians interested helping us. So if you have information, and we have cards here, so we'll talk.
Okay, very good, thank you. Thank you very much.
So obviously, in collecting all this data, there's parameters which the horse should be within in terms of like O2 saturation, heart rate, respiration rates. And those, I'm sure, are things that all vets and professional owners, breeders, racing teams have access to, have knowledge of. But to get this out there, I guess, to the general public, would the average horse owner know the parameters in which a horse should be? Just like humans have the biometrics so we can tell what our heart rate range should be, our O2 should be. Will the knowledge be out there for Joe Schmo, Jane Schmo, when they purchase these for their, rescue operations or for general recreational use?
Yeah, and that's a very good question too, and the answer is yes. The analytics that we provide, so you can go back and look at how SpO2 improved or has it, and have real-time alerting if it falls below a certain set point. So you can actually realize the set points. If your performance of the horse so the performance is best at 180, let's say, beats per minute, you want to get to 180 beats per minute for performance levels. And if it goes beyond that, and that performance could suffer. So we have an optimal learning for each category, and which is going to be very, very valuable for competitiveness on the racetrack.
And on our database, there are two portions of it. One is their education. Like you said, if I just own a horse, I probably don't know what the range should be, and especially the blood oxygen level, that's not typically people will monitor. So we will have the education to tell people what the level should be, and then you can set up your own level. And after historical data, collecting enough data, then you'll be able to know, okay, my horse is always at this range. And then, like Mike said, then you will be able to set up the optimal level. And every time when you exceed the level, it will send you an alert and say, okay, your horse is not feeling good.
Okay, and then in regards to the different type of, pricing structure, so are you looking at multiple levels of models? For example, you have the higher range where you're selling to teams that spend a lot of money for a horse versus somebody who buys a horse for $4,000 or $5,000. You have like professional model, and then you have kind of like how the Fitbits are set up or whatever. You have different models.
Yes, we have a different strata in terms of, so the recreational marketplace will have a lower price point than a professional model. Because they're going to be able to utilize so many different aspects and features that really wouldn't be needed in the recreational marketplace. And this is we can actually do this over the air. Increase if you want a magnetometer, or if you want to have a gyroscope, or if you want to test other things, all they have to do is register for that, and we can send that to them so they can get as advanced as they want to. But we do have two different models. We are starting with professional.
And then, sorry, I don't mean to monopolize.
No, that's all right.
So once they purchase the model, do you have some sort of, or plan on having some sort of subscription that they could, and you might have mentioned that.
Right.
So some sort of subscription, monthly or annually, to purchase more or less data as needed?
We do. When you register the horse, we feel in about 4 or 5 years that data is going to be extremely valuable. So the more sample you have out there, the more people using it, the more value it becomes. It's the age of the horse, it's the type of horse, it's the sport they're in, some of the health issues, all the things that we can gather to really learn from, including just their diet. So there's a plethora of opportunity to sell this as we learn, and AI, machine learning could do that and learn from this.
And
Yes.
also to answer your question, I think you more on the pricing model. So the professional, all the sensors already built in. And it's just about
It's
how to
turning it
turn
on.
it on. So your professional model, if you pay the subscription fee
Yeah.
to the professional level, we can turn on all the sensors, then you can use the full version of it. But if you need it, you don't want to, then you pay the basics, and then you just have the top three, the blood oxygen and the temperature and the heart rate.
Okay, well, fantastic product.
Thank you,
Great job.
John. Appreciate it. Thank you. Any other questions?
I'm gonna take one. Could you flesh out your marketing strategy a little bit? It sounds like you're going through the manufacturers, but to some extent, manufacturers are not as motivated to sell your product as you are. And could you kind of just go through that a little more?
Okay. Yeah, the strategy number one is we don't sell to the customer. It's through the horseman manufacturing. The reason being is the horseman manufacturing, they had a hard time to develop their own market right now. Every time the biggest feedback that they told us is when they sell a new market, customers say, why would I need yours? My grandpa, my father has been using for decades. It's perfectly fine. So it's all the gut feel. The problem in equine industry, this many years, there's no scientific data. It's all based on the gut feel. And my grandpa gut feels good, and now I believe it, so I keep using it. So by selling this to them, they expanded their market. Because now they can prove from the data, your horse uses my bits better than so-and-so's. So that's a good thing. And the second thing is to help them to improve their product too. Because now they can monitor how the horse react when they started using their bit. So that is why they love this product. In fact, the three manufacturer has been working with us for over a year now to develop this product. They're really dedicated to it. And the marketing strategy is, besides sell through them, the first step, we actually selling to the professional. As everybody knows, the professional, they will pay money. They will pay anything to improve their performance to win the games. And also, another interesting thing, it was a suggestion from the horseman manufacturing. They suggest that we don't publicize, we don't advertise, we don't blast out ad, we do hush-hush. Why? It's because it create a mystery. Create a mystery on the product to the professional, say, okay, so-and-so has the secret weapon. And that's how they win the game. So everybody now wants this mystery, the secret weapon. So that we started launching, but definitely we will, after professional launch, then we will start to the recreational and go to the other markets.
Well, pardon my ignorance, but is the horse typically wearing a bit like 24/7?
No.
They don't, but they can. So if right now the battery power is 8 hours, so they typically they don't even work 8 hours a day, and they only do the training so that you can see their performance. But they can, if the horse is really ill, and you want monitoring rather than pay somebody 24/7 to watch it, and then you can put this in, and this is from feedback from veterinarian and from the horseman manufacturing. The horse can eat and drink with the bit inside their mouth. Just typically people don't do that.
And just follow up. You're saying that a lot of people are using the bits that have been passed down from generation to generation. But typically as manufacturers, what are they putting new bits on the market for?
They put a new bits on the market at like $150 to $250. But this is not replacement of the horse bit. This is the medical device. So that's the.
So my question is about your relationship with the manufacturers. When you approach them, or did they approach you? Did they say, we have to do this, or did you say, will you please do this for us?
No, they really uptake it. There are three of them. One is Missouri, one is out of Germany, and one is South Africa. They flew here. They met us many times. We meet on a weekly basis. We make 3D models for them. They're really into it, and so they look at this as part of their future. So it's a whole new product line. They're going to get larger margins for it, and they see the need. And this, horse bits are just used for guidance and control. This adds guidance and control and health to it, or performance to it. So there's so many applications they need and their market needs that they are very enthusiastic and excited for us. But so the next 4 months is going to be testing the marketplace. So we gather data and know and work all the kinks out before we put on the market later this year.
So they're adamant about having you not manufacture it yourself.
The horse bit itself, no. Let me explain it. We don't make the steel.
But what I mean is they like you enough that they don't want you to try to circumvent that.
Oh, we have no intent. We're an electronics company and design company, and we're like the Intel. We give them the chips, we give them the circuit board, we make sure it's safe and protected from water and reliable. And 50 reads per second. It's a lot of data. And so, and they make surrounding pieces to keep it in the mouth, so it acts as a dual function. Not only just healthcare and performance, but the guidance system they always have for horse bits. Anyone else want to see this?
Well, that was the last question, so
Thank you.
Thank you very much.